Welcome back, everyone. Riccardo here with Nick at Linners and Wosers, and our special guest joining us here for some chit chat about Northern Colorado Hailstorm FC. It's head coach Eamon Zayed. Thank you so much for joining us here today. What a pleasure it is. Our third time having you back on the podcast. How are you today?
I'm good. I am good. Delighted to be back on and chat obviously the previous season and what's up in, what's going to be coming for the 2024 season. I know we tried to get this going kind of before playoffs or during playoffs, so it didn't happen. But now's a good time to discuss the season that's just gone and some exciting things hopefully for the future.
Yeah, absolutely. Nick and I are so eager to always have you on the show here, but given the extraordinary circumstances and the historic season you guys had, we felt like we really wanted you guys to focus on that, on the playoff push, and so this is great. Finally, we get to go ahead and do it at the end of the season. A little bit of summary here, recap some great achievements by yourself, the team, Trevor, some other players, and then dive into a little bit on 2024. But I'm going to go ahead and pass it on over to Nick. He's been eager to chat about Hailstorm for what seems for a couple of weeks now.
So I want to talk about what was you guys were third in the league this year, and by I don't know if you care about this or not, but you were rated the fourth best team in USL One history by ELO rankings. So what was just the big difference between this year and last year? Because I was watching 2022 highlights, and the team was really good last year. I think there was a couple, mistakes here or there, and you guys barely
Yeah.
missed out on the playoffs. But I thought, what was just the big difference?
Um, I think a few things, right, that really go into that. I mean, the biggest thing for me was consistency from 2022 to 2023. Listen, we were a brand new franchise in 2022, and obviously I was tasked with putting together a brand new squad, not just on the pitch, the staff off the pitch. We had to put that all together. As you guys were aware, we were obviously, playing out of a couple of different home stadiums, had a couple of different training facilities, and even just the front office staff, the behind the scenes, the general manager and the operations and the marketing, everything that goes into USL Soccer Club. They were getting used to what it was like to have a USL League One franchise. So I felt in the first year we put together a really competitive squad, some really good players, and I felt like the second kind of portion of that 2022 season, you saw a more consistent Hailstorm on the pitch. Some of our ideas were coming to fruition, and you started off by saying that we obviously narrowly missed out on playoffs. I mean, it still bugs me that we finished with the same amount of points as Charlotte Independence, better goal difference, better head-to-head record, and
The
missed out on,
wins, I don't like that
I think, the
either.
USL's structure. Did we break up there?
I think just a little bit, but yeah, the
Oh,
USL
sorry.
structure, the USL
Yeah, the
structure.
structure. Yeah, it was the most wins,
Yeah.
which I just found that a bit bizarre because USL Championship, their differential is not most wins. It was a goal difference or head to head. So I'm not quite sure why USL League One decided to put in most wins as the main differential
I agree.
factor. No else in the world has that. So listen, again, still kind of it just bugs me because playoffs in that first season would have been a massive achievement. But
And you guys were
look,
dangerous at the end
2022.
of the season.
Oh, we were, yeah. No, we
Yeah.
we had really, really good form going into kind of the last 2 months of the season. We were really on good form. And yeah, I would have, similar to Tormenta going into that playoffs, I would have loved to have just, gotten in, any way possible and competed against whoever. I felt we could have beaten anybody on our day. So look, that was 2022. 2023, the key was obviously consistency, and that was my biggest thing that I wanted to kind of bring into 2023. And it wasn't just the on the field stuff with the players. It was also just the coaching staff. Listen, our assistant coach Kevin Sawchuk left at the end of 2022, and we replaced him with Colin Falvey, who I knew from my past. Knew he was a coach that would work really well with me. My strengths and weaknesses are kind of, we complement each other with his strengths and weaknesses. So that was a massive get for us. Our goalkeeper coach, Tim Murray, he came in as well. In 2022, I think we had 2 or 3 different goalkeeping coaches, and we needed to get that position consistent, which we did this year with Tim Murray. And listen, you saw obviously how well Lalo Delgado done this year. So obviously Tim was doing a good job with our goalkeepers. So that again was key to us, and definitely the 2 of them played a big part in obviously just the consistency off the pitch and on the pitch. Obviously this year with the team, we brought back 12 players, 13 with Danny Robles, obviously towards the end of the season. We felt we wanted to bring back the guys who obviously first and foremost were quality players, but also players that had big ambitions, had that winning mentality, wanted to win a league and challenge every single game and every single training session. So we brought back the guys who we knew could get us to the next level, and then we replaced the guys who obviously left. We replaced them with, I felt, again, guys who were of a higher quality, and also guys with a great mentality. And I look at Lalo Delgado was obviously one that we replaced in goals, and he was massive for us. We see him getting his clean sheets, but on a daily basis in training, he's a winner. He wants to train hard every single day and push the guys, in training and in the locker room. So he was great for us. Obviously Bruno Rendon and Lucky Opara, 2 absolute athletes playing at full back. But again, 2 guys who hate to lose and compete in training every single day. So we brought in some guys that really wanted to take Hailstorm to the next level and play their part. And I feel like they did this year. So consistency and obviously replacing the guys who we lost with just a higher quality of mentality and guys on the pitch who would really help us. And I feel like we did that this year.
Yeah, we also wanted to point out some Noah Powder was a great addition to the squad. He was fantastic going forward. Had one of the top goal contributions toward the end of the season, and then we thought Sabella was one of an underrated player, and because he had his moments of brilliance during in specific spots of the season. So I just felt like bringing back those core players like Rob Norday, all those players you mentioned, and then I did see I felt like last year those were the core, and then you can only replace them with more quality, and then when we gave our rankings in, I think it was January, we didn't want to be biased. We probably had you a little higher, but people were obviously going to call us out or something. But yeah, we definitely saw that the squad increased and got better as it went, from just keeping that core of players.
Just going off of that, I mean, the core players itself in the defense, I think, stepped up to be better players, like Leo, who seemingly played a lot more of an important role this year than I think he did last year. Guys like Rob leading in the back, Arthur, and then just those acquisitions in both Lucky and Bruno. I think those were superb. Guys you mentioned that have that winning mentality, that desire to fight for every ball, getting up the field. So defensively, I know that offensively this year, Hailstorm, winning, missing out on the wins like last year, it wasn't an issue. Had plenty of wins this year, plenty of goals up top from Trevor and company. But the defense and the goalkeeping position, Lalo, that's something that's probably super underrated with this team, just how solid and full of depth it was.
I believe so. With the Lalo didn't get any awards at the end of the season. Well, he got, I think, maybe one, but I thought he was he was spectacular this year and easily could have been on first team or second team.
Yeah, listen, the fact that Lalo didn't make first or second team is listen, it's awful. Decision making, and listen, the way the player of the year and the USL teams of the year work, as far as I'm concerned, is they ask obviously every technical staff, 2 members of each team, each technical staff, to vote and send in your vote who you feel like is. I think they ask you for 2 goalkeepers, and I'm sure the people that work in USL headquarters obviously have a say as well in terms of who wins the awards. But it was bizarre. Look, you look at the goalkeeper of the year, first team and second team. And listen, there were some good goalkeepers in the league this year. There really was. I feel like the standard of goalkeeper increased this year in USL League One, which is great.
Absolutely.
And again, Austin Pack was fantastic for Charlotte. Sean Lewis was fantastic for Knoxville as well. But I sometimes try to, obviously I'm there's going to be times where I'm going to be biased, but I look at just the facts. And I think you guys know that I'm pretty honest and upfront in terms of most things. Lalo Delgado got the most clean sheets this season, right? And he was the goalkeeper for the best defensive record team in the league this year. So it's kind of bizarre how you and listen, he made some fantastic saves. Obviously, you can look at breaking the I think he saved 4 or 5 penalties this year, which was I guess a record in terms.
A record, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, which obviously it's not a record we want to repeat next year in terms of the penalties, giving away penalties. But listen, he saved them, and he produced really good saves this year, and he was very consistent and very constant. So it's bizarre how he would not get in either team. I don't understand how that that didn't kind of.
Yeah, I think he was a solid reason you guys had a 20-point swing from last year to this year. You can just see like the difference in between the sticks from last year. There was a huge confidence in Lalo compared, because there was 3 goalkeepers last season, I think, and there just wasn't enough consistency in my opinion. And then having Lalo this year, it was just like we had that rock back there, solid trust. He was. And
I'll even give a shout out. Listen, I'll even give a shout. I'll be honest. I put Bernd Shipman in as well. I thought he was really good for Madison, and Madison had one of the best defensive records and the second most clean sheets in the league this year as well. I think he was a big reason why they made the playoffs. So listen, look, it's a game of opinions at the end of the day. But I think Lalo showed what he can do this year, and he's looking to improve that next year as well, and be even better. And Lalo came in as he was second choice for Phoenix Rising for a couple of years, and he's still very young, and he came in because he wanted that number 1 spot and wanted to play week in, week out. And obviously we had Johan Penaranda in the background pushing him every single day, which was massive for the goalkeeping position as well. But I feel like Lalo came in and he showed how good he obviously can be, and he's still so young, and he developed a lot from the first game of the season to the last game of the season. He's definitely improved a lot, and I feel like his ceiling in terms of where he can go is quite high. And I'm looking forward to seeing how he can develop in the second season. We saw obviously how Trevor Aman developed from one season to another. I feel like Lalo can be similar in terms of his development, and I wouldn't be surprised if, as I said, in a few years' time, we see Lalo lining out for an MLS team. I wouldn't be surprised if that was the case in a few years' time, if he develops the way he's continuing to develop, obviously from this season to next season, hopefully. If I can bring it back on terms of your the January predictions, right? So my issue with the predictions is, again, I just run off facts, right? And take bias out of it. I just run off facts. If we ended the season last year, the second half of the season last year, we were the second best team in the league, right? We were a point off. I think Richmond had a point more than us in the second half of the season, and Chattanooga had 1 point more than us in the second half of the season last year. Other than that, we were we were the most informed team, and we picked up more points in the second half of the season last year. So if you look at that, and then bear in mind that we're bringing back 12 players, and if you really delve into some of the players that we're bringing into, which I'm sure some people didn't, I don't understand how you come up with, and you guys were, where did you have a sixth, fifth?
I think fifth.
Yeah, all right, fair enough. At least you had us making the playoffs. Other podcasts and social media people who, and listen, they're great. I love their opinions, and it's great for the league. The more opinions, the better. The more publicity and social media around USL League One, the better. And again, it's a game of opinions. It's always up for debate. But come on, some of them had us in 12th and 11th place,
Right.
which is, I don't know what they're basing it off. As I said, just base it off. All you can do is, and it's basically they're predicting. But you can only base it off, obviously, what happened in the second half of the season, or how it ended. And that's all you can do, kind of going forward, and then look back at, the players that we're bringing in and the players that we're retaining. So I thought that was, that was funny, to say the least. But we'll see what they come up with next January, in terms of the 2024 season.
I mean, we're definitely excited. This last season was definitely a blast with you guys. You guys put up such strong performances at home and away this year. It was definitely a delight to watch.
Yeah, it's the away performances that continue to go ahead and surprise me for the club. Especially from last year, bouncing around the few places that you got to call home. So playing most of your matches away, with away fans, and keeping that strength. And that, again, you mentioned consistency. So being consistent on the road, being a team that people don't want to go ahead and have to play against. And when you guys made the switch to Future Legends Complex in May, it was going to be interesting to see how well or how long the team was going to go ahead and adapt to playing at home with the crowd, to kind of get an idea of what numbers would look like behind the net. But that game against Central Valley back in May, you guys came out firing on all cylinders. Jackson getting the first goal at home, Billy getting on the score sheet, another player that you brought in this year who's absolutely phenomenal under the radar, and then Trevor getting a brace, one of his 7 braces of the year. So, Future Legends, I want to talk a little bit about that. Just get your thoughts on that. Now that you have a home, something that's coming along. You've had fans, the Storm Chasers there, a little bit of a ritual at halftime, stuff like that. I just want to go ahead and get a perspective of how you feel now, having something to call home, behind the team, and how that played into 2023.
It was a massive part. Like, look, the first and foremost, we had the dome, that full sized, obviously indoor soccer pitch, where we could obviously have a consistent preseason. And again, I keep saying the word consistent, but obviously with the weather you get in Colorado and the snow, and the conditions sometimes, it makes it difficult to train outside. So to have the dome was fantastic, and we could have preseason there, have some preseason games, which was great for us. Then obviously the stadium, last year, 2022, we had, listen, we were grateful to CSU and, and the other stadiums. Yeah, Severance High School, listen, to let us use their facility. But we weren't able to train there the day before the game. So, which made, again, we just literally showed up and played the game. So it was difficult for us to get any kind of consistency on either of those. We had 3 different home stadiums. So to have our own stadium, and albeit it's our smaller of the 2 stadiums that we're building up here in Windsor and Future Legends, hopefully, fingers crossed, next season we're in our main stadium at some point next season, which will be fantastic, and that'll be even better for us and fans and the experience and all that kind of stuff that goes along with playing in a brand new, bigger stadium. But this season, just to have a stadium to call home was fantastic for us. We were able to train often on the stadium field. We knew the bounce of the ball. Coming up to Colorado, teams coming up to Colorado. Obviously, we have a little bit of an advantage in terms of the altitude that we try to play off. We want to listen. Wherever we play, we want to have want to play an intense, high energy game. But being able to train and play up in Colorado, in our home stadium, we can use that as an advantage. I think we did that in the first game against Fuego. You mentioned that game in May. I feel like we started off on fire, and I think we got 4 goals in the first half, and kind of that was the end of the game. We want to do that and improve on that, obviously, in 2024. But I feel like we did that this year, and we were able to be consistent at home. I feel like, an area that, I might be skipping ahead here, but look, an area that we need to get better on in 2024. I feel like the first few teams that came to Future Legends, they tried to play us, head to head, and they lost, because it's difficult when you play away from home and you say, "Oh, we're going to play our game," you play your game and see what happens. Well, when teams did that, they lost. Some of the teams that came decided to change up their game plan and say, "All right, well, listen, we're gonna stand off, right? Because of the altitude, because we're playing away from home. It's a difficult place to come. We're gonna stand off and play 2 banks of 4, or a 4 and a 5 and a 1, whatever they play, and we're gonna allow you possession and try to break us down." And I feel like when teams came to do that, it was we obviously had to solve that puzzle. And at times, I think at the start, I think Knoxville were the first team to do it, and the game ended up being 0-0. And that was something that we had to adapt and try to overcome and get better at breaking teams down. I feel like we did that, but there was moments where we need to get better at for next season when we do play at home, in terms of breaking teams down. When teams do decide to come to Colorado and say, "Jet, we're just going to stand behind the ball and you try to break us down." North Carolina did that when they beat us 2-0 in, I think it was September, whenever it was that they came to us and they beat us 2-0. They just had 2 banks of 4 and they said, "All right, we'll try to break us down." And then when they won the ball back, they just sprung with Olex Anderson and Rafa Mensigan and Louis Perez and Garrett McLaughlin. And they had really, really good players to counter-attack, and we struggled to break them down. And it's something that we need to get better at next season. But rewind, to answer your question, fantastic to have a home stadium. I felt like the fan base got better and better kind of as the season progressed. Now, listen, the weather in Colorado, Northern Colorado, was bizarre this year. It was so bizarre. I mean, we had 7 games of our 16 home games were affected through weather conditions, which was, I don't know. For me, it was bizarre because we didn't have that in 2022. Hopefully we don't have that in 2024 next season. I do feel like, listen, it was difficult for fans to come, games about to start and it's cancelled, for half an hour, 2 hours, and then ask them to kind of return a couple of hours later for kickoff. So that was definitely tough to deal with. But as the season progressed and weather conditions were a bit more steady and, again, consistent, I use that word, the fan base got better, and it was great. It was great. The last couple of games of the season, I have to highlight them, the playoffs, and then the last game against I felt like in Chattanooga. It was one of the last games against the second game at home against Richmond. There was some really, really, really good turnouts, and it's something that hopefully we can get better next year.
Yeah, and the Madison playoff game was exceptional too. Definitely.
Yeah, it was great. It was great, and I can tell you right now, the players feed off that. I mean, I feed off. I love it as a coach, but the players definitely feed off that. The more energy a crowd can give you, a home crowd can give you, the players 100% feed off it, because they tell us that after the game.
Love that.
Something that we can do next year, with every home game, create. It'll definitely go a long, long way to embed.
I think you cut off right at the end there.
Yeah, I was just, hopefully again the momentum next year can even grow, and we can get bigger, better crowds, and that will help to get better results. It will for sure.
On that topic, before I move on to that, I just want to say I thought it was interesting when you mentioned that teams would come into Colorado and have adapted to now sitting back more and giving Hailstorm that possession. It's something that I think,
Yeah.
also translates to maybe USL Championship and the MLS, because early this season I was speaking with Connor Ronan, Colorado Rapids players, and he was mentioning how the Rapids now are adapting to a new challenge where teams are in the second half, laying back and giving the Rapids possessions, and then they have to adapt with breaking down a team that holds back. So it's interesting to me that this translates down to also the USL League One level. You have teams, as you mentioned, Knoxville coming to Windsor, sitting back, giving you guys that possession, and then just seeing how the team can go in and adapt. But on the topic of the fans in the stadium, what do you think about, maybe just Future Legends Complex, all of lower league footy, USL League One, that side of the field where it didn't have any stands, but fans could just stand around? Just a little bit of your thoughts on the way it's designed. Do you think that's something that's really cool, gets the fans engaged? I also think it's really interesting that the away fans have to walk. Excuse me, the away team has to walk in front of those fans this year. So just your thoughts on that side of the pitch.
Um, yeah, like for me, the standing, we had obviously one side of our facility this year was the standing room section, which I felt was the best section actually.
Right.
To be watching a game in. I had family members over, I had friends over, and I would tell them, go stand in that section because you're right on top of the pitch and you can hear everything, you can see everything, you really get a sense of the game. And they loved it. They loved it. They sat in a couple of different areas, and eventually they just settled on standing over in that section
Yeah.
because for me that was the best section. And the players also
Love that.
enjoy playing over in that section as well. So no, I'm all for those kind of to get more kind of experience in terms of the game, what's going on
Yeah.
in the game, being more engaged in the game. And I feel like those standing sections do that. So I'm all for it. If we can open up more standing room area, fantastic.
Yeah, I love
Um,
that. I love that. You could actually get a good peep to see how big Bruno is. He's a massive guy. And
Bruno is a
on the
beast.
topic of home field advantage, I don't know if this was a coincidence, but where the away team, their little locker room section throughout the season, it's all uphill when they have to walk back into the. So, I don't know if that's
Yeah,
designed by coincidence or by perfection, but I thought it was really
that was
interesting.
listen. That was coincidence. Listen. Obviously at the moment, it was our first year, obviously hosting games there in the Future Legends Complex, and there's obviously a lot of construction going on,
Yeah.
and we're a work in progress. And listen, when this is all said and done, the complex will be state of the art. It's going to be spectacular when it's all said and done. For now, it's kind of we're working with what we can.
Yeah.
And listen, fans kind of have to bear with us at the moment, and they have. So it's the away teams coming in. That's the locker room. That's we could only put it over there. There's nowhere else. We kind of looked at different areas. I feel like we looked at different areas to put the away team locker rooms, and that was the best of the bunch. It's not ideal. I know that there's been teams that have come in this year and complained.
Really.
You know, yeah, and I, if I was their coach, potentially, depending on the situations, depending, I wouldn't be happy. Like, I mean, I know, for instance, Charlotte Independence came in and the game was delayed. It was delayed by I don't know if it was an hour, if it was 90 minutes, but obviously weather conditions delayed the game. And the way it works is that the teams will come over and warm up on the pitch, and then they would obviously go back to the locker room to get changed and then come back again. And I think it's a 3-minute walk or so. And I wanted my preparation to be the same preparation as in every game. We come out, we warm up, and then we go back in. We have our last kind of chat. We put on the jerseys, and then we go out again. They had asked if it was possible that we could just come out, warm up, and just stay out. And not go back into the locker room. I decided no. I'm. It was just I'm not. It's routine, and players like routine,
Yeah.
coaches like routine. I want to warm up, go back in. I'm not the weatherman. I didn't choose to have a delay. So they weren't really happy with that. I mean, they were actually really, really angry with that. And it's maybe I'm being a bit looking into it a bit too much. I feel like that translated into our next few games against them. That their players and they seem to have a bit more of an issue with us. Became more of a grudge match. In our final couple of games with them. I don't know if it was to do with them having to walk back and forth from the locker room. I don't know. But listen, I can't change it. I understand frustrations at times, but yeah, it's not ideal for the away teams. And the fact that they also have to walk across the pitch, across our fans, is probably not ideal for them. But again,
coincidental genius.
Yeah,
coincidental genius.
100%, honestly, coincidental.
So I wanted to jump to the judgmental Jim question from Twitter. But how is it like to get guys like Rob Cornwall, guys from overseas? How is it like to get them to want to play for Hailstorm? Is it because the USL League One is so attractive? Or are you the guy they want to play for because you're obviously a great coach? And how do they get on? Is it a huge culture shock from where they come from to Windsor, Colorado?
Okay, so look, obviously recruitment comes far and wide, internationally and domestically. All leagues, USL League One, USL Championship, MLS Next now. Listen, we got Trevor from NPSL. I have contacts and networks obviously in Europe and further afield because I played there. My assistant coach Colin Falvey, listen, he has contacts all over. We've actually, I'm sure another question's coming up on signings. We actually have a player that signed from Australia through one of Colin Falvey's contacts. So, which will come up in future. But we obviously look far and wide. I mean, we want to recruit the best players possible. Rob Cornwall came up obviously through my contacts in Ireland, and I knew Rob. I actually, strangely, I think his first year in League of Ireland was one of my last years in League of Ireland. We were actually teammates for like 4 or 5 months, strangely enough, back in 2014 or something.
You can still lace them up.
Lace them up. I do every now and again in training. That's where do you think Trevor got his goal scoring ability from this year?
I thought so. I thought it would be the perfect match.
So, but look, we look far and wide for players, and it's at times it's difficult. What do we have to offer? We have obviously to offer one, the opportunity to come over to the States and play, and that's attractive. Players want to come to America and play. They want to test themselves, and sometimes every player wants to obviously come. They play in MLS or USL Championship, but they need the opportunity to come and play, and that's what USL League One can give them. It can give them the opportunity to come over and start your career in the States if that's what you want. So that's what we can offer. Two, obviously we're a brand new franchise. Obviously we're going into our 3rd year now, but initially we were a brand new franchise. Northern Colorado is a really attractive place to live and play. It really is. For me, it's maybe I'm biased, but there's an argument to be had that it's the best place to play in USL League One. Not just on the pitch, off the pitch. I mean, it has a lot to offer off the pitch as well. And I would take that. I would take the argument that as a state, you can go and drive 45 minutes anywhere, and you're, in beautiful scenery and lovely towns and cities. So I think it's the best place to play in USL League One, and I'll sell that because I truly believe it. Obviously, I believe that we will be. I think we're working towards being the best franchise in USL League One. It's a work in progress. There's some really good franchises out there that have been around from 2019 or obviously a lot more years than we have been. And there's some really good franchises in USL League One. Madison, Greenville are two. North Carolina, obviously now they're going up to USL Championship. Charlotte Independence. There are really good franchises in USL League One, but I believe that we can be the best. We're not there yet, but I believe we can be the best when it's all said and done after a few more years. And that's an attractive obviously proposition for players as well to come over and play. And then look, I'm trying to create a team that wants to challenge and win. Every player wants to come and win, right? And they don't want to play for. I get this question a lot from players, believe it or not, in terms of, well, are you realistically trying to win a USL League One championship, or are you just trying to compete? And I'm not going to name names, name teams. Just teams in USL League One that are maybe just happy to be there and compete, and they'll celebrate if they jump into a playoff position, they'll celebrate that. Whereas that for me is not the end goal. It's you want to make playoffs, but I want to win it. I was frustrated and disappointed to finish third. Despite having a good season and going up a couple of levels from 2022, but I want to win. And I want to create an environment every day in training that will go into games that we want to win. We're not here to just draw or to compete and finish wherever. We want to win, and every player wants to be involved in something like that. They want to be challenged and pushed by their coaches every single day in training, and then obviously in games. And that's what I can promise them. And I'll try to develop and help them along the way as best as I can. So hopefully that's also a factor that makes them want to come and play here for Hailstorm and for me and the rest of the coaching staff. So I feel like that's why we've recruited. I feel like, as I said, the first year is always difficult to put together a strong team, but we did, and we recruited some really good players. Obviously, Rob Cornwall being one of them from internationally overseas. You have to sell. Billy King was another. Yeah, Billy King was fantastic this year. I think for me, I think there's an argument to be had that he's the best. He's the best footballer in the league. I believe that. His teammates believe that. Ask Arthur Rogers; he'll tell you he believes that he's the best footballer in the league, best wide player in the league as well. He's fantastic. Obviously, we see him on a daily basis, but obviously, we saw portions of it this year where he can potentially be the best player in the league.
Absolutely.
It took a while for him to adapt to the league when he first came in. Then he kind of adapted to it and kind of end the season. Had a couple of little niggles that on my behalf I pushed him through, and he was such an influential player. I played him where perhaps I should have given him a little bit of a rest to kind of recuperate and come back stronger for the end of the season, the playoffs. But I wanted him on the pitch because he's so good. So as a coach, you're a bit of a salesman. You have to sell something, but I'm selling something that I truly believe in, and then we try to back it up in terms of our daily training and games. And I feel like players that have come in have bought into it, and I think that's why we've been able to recruit, obviously, the players that we've recruited so far, and hopefully that continue and we can improve and get stronger players in 2025.
Going off of that,
2024 and 2025.
Yeah, for 2024, going off of that, you mentioned, it was a little bit more challenging to go ahead and recruit these players when you start the team, but now going into your third year, the resume looks really nice for the team. It's a very, you're competing to become USL League One winners. You're winning plenty of games, high scoring team. You're bringing a lot of those players back. I know the season just ended, but have you guys already, yourself, the front office staff, started planning for 2024, whether that be players you're interested for, some veterans that there might be out the door, already planning on what the team might look like without Trevor? Just some of your thoughts around those for 2024.
Yeah. Listen, I remember Ian Cameron came with Tormenta. I think it was the second game that they came to play in Colorado this year, and he made a comment about, obviously, look, they won the USL League One championship in 2022, but he made a comment of we'll see how we are next year when you lose your players and you have to kind of regroup and bring in some new players. And USL League One is a league that you're always, players want to come and they want to play at the highest level possible. And if they perform in USL League One, it's a stepping stone to USL Championship or higher, depending on how they do. I understand that as a coach and player. I understand that. I was a player as well, and I wanted to play at the highest level possible. So, unfortunately, you're going to lose players, especially if you're successful or if you,
right.
If you're one of those teams challenging. And listen, this year,
Trevor.
This year we had 3 fantastic teams in the league, right? I mean, any team deserved to win the Player Shield. Any team deserved to win the USL Championship, the title. It was just one of those years. You mentioned earlier that we were the 4th best team in USL League One history, and I'm sure North Carolina and Omaha are 2 of the other top 4 teams from this year's season. Yeah, listen, hats off to Omaha and North Carolina. Any other year, we any other year, which it's not something that makes me feel any better, but we would have probably won the league and potentially won the USL Championship. We at the start of the year we set out targets, and I'll share them with you. I don't have them in front of me now, but I remember they were the targets we set. We felt that if we hit them, we were going to win everything. So we set a target of 57 points, right? We came up with 57 points because last year Richmond won it with 51 points. There's 2 extra games going on this year from the 2022 season. And the previous record was North Texas with 56 points. So we thought 57 points was going to win us the league. That's what we set out as a target. We set out 60 league goals, which I remember Trevor had a big part to play in terms of we come together as a group and we set out our targets. And I think it could have been Trevor that said 60 goals and some of the defenders said 60 goals. Yeah, it's a high target, which it was. But listen, we got 59, so we're only one off the 60 goal target. We wanted to concede no more than 36 goals. I think it was 37 goals we conceded this year, which was still the best in the league, which was great. We wanted 10 clean sheets this year. We got 13 clean sheets. So we set out, I can't remember how many points it was away from home that we set out, but we beat it by 3 points. And then we beat our home point target by 2 points, I think it was. So we pretty much hit every single target that we wanted to hit this year. And look, that obviously wasn't good enough to win it. I think we were the only team this year with a player in the Player of the Year category, Defender of the Year category, and the Goalkeeper of the Year category, as a representative. So, I mean, on one hand, it was a really good season, but despite all that, we didn't win the Player Shield and we didn't win the USL Championship. So we obviously fell short, and it's something that we need to get better and get stronger for next season. So to answer your question, 2024 recruitment, it's going to be difficult. So, we have 8 players. So we have 8 players, and they'll be obviously announced soon, that are either under contract or we've picked up their options, right, for 2024. We've agreed 2 contracts with 2 more players from the 2023 squad. So that'll be 10 players for sure that will come back for 2024. There is a number of players. There's at least a handful, 5-6 players. I would like to retain at least 3 of them. Negotiations are ongoing with those players. Now, you ask me why perhaps they haven't signed back, and we haven't signed them back yet. It's because, look, they're out of contract, and some of them are talking to USL Championship teams. Arthur's already signed for USL Championship team, which I'm assuming it'll be announced soon. So Arthur's already signed for USL. He was out of contract. He had I I believe he'd already agreed a deal before the season finished. With the USL Championship team. Trevor obviously, got announced that he had signed for Sacramento. But listen, he was out of contract. We tried to tie him up to a contract, but he was having such a good season that he wanted to wait and see his options. Which, I mean, any player would do that. And I don't. If I was a player, I would also, and I was having such a good season, I would also see my options at the end of the season. Like I had at least 7 USL Championship clubs contact me about Trevor, right?
Wow.
So he had his pick of
Springs?
USL Championship clubs. I'll tell you what, Springs said no. Which
Wow. That is
listen, I'm not, and that's hopefully Trevor doesn't mind me saying that, out in the open, but that was one that kind of shocked me. Like, I have a good relationship with the guys down in Colorado Springs, and listen, I'm not going to tell them who to sign, who to recruit, and who not to sign. That's up to them. I'm not the coach of their team, but I did find it a little bit strange that you have a kid who's from an hour or so up the road, who's scored goals in Colorado, broken records in USL League One, smashed records in USL League One, scored against them. I found it bizarre. They were a team that said, like, pretty early. Like, we're talking, I don't know, when Trevor started to get all these calls. I started to get all these calls from coaches back in probably August, September, right? And obviously I wanted to just kind of, I wanted to focus Trevor on the season at hand. And to be fair, Trevor was focused. I can't fault him. He really gave 100% in every single game, towards the end of the season. Listen, he got a hat-trick in the finals and the playoffs. Like, he definitely had the mentality that he wanted to break records, score more goals, and try to win a championship for Hailstorm. So Trevor was fantastic for us. But clubs were interested in Trevor. As I said, from August on, perhaps earlier in the season, but from August on, clubs were interested. And I believe that Switchbacks straight away said, not interested. And I find that really, really bizarre. Again, I am not going to tell them who to sign. I'm not their coach. But I'll tell you what, if I was their coach, I would have signed them, or I would have tried to sign them, because Trevor is a proper goal scorer. He is a goal scorer. He scores goals. And no matter what level, you produce chances, Trevor will get in the end of them. And I believe that he'll only get better and he'll only improve, and he will score goals at USL Championship level. I know that the Switchbacks, they, Romario Williams, I think he kind of came good second half of the season and scored goals for them. But besides him,
they lost
Enriquez,
a lot of goals for the year.
Scored a couple of goals. Yeah, they didn't really have many goals coming elsewhere. They signed a couple of players, one Tejada, if I pronounce his name right, on loan, or they got him from Indy 11. They also got Jonas Freiberg. Again, I'm probably pronouncing his name wrong. They also got him from Indy 11. 2 strikers that did okay. Listen, Trevor will score goals no matter where he goes, as long as he's given the opportunity. Sacramento is a very, very good club, a top USL Championship club. I'm very close to Mark Briggs. That perhaps helped the signing of Trevor to Sacramento. Mark rang me numerous times asking about Trevor on and off the pitch. I spent a week with Mark in Sacramento before I got this job, just to see how he does things in Sacramento, because I think he's a top coach, one of the best coaches in the USL Championship, and I want to learn off the best and continue to improve and learn myself. So Mark is a great coach. I think it's a great place for Trevor to go and compete, and hopefully he'll score many goals for Sacramento and continue to improve and get better. But how do I replace Trevor? Or how do I replace his goals? Listen, how do I replace his goals next year? we're obviously going to lose Arthur as well. Arthur's, he's obviously somebody that's produced for us in terms of assists. Obviously his general play, but obviously he was our top assist leader in the last 2 years as well. So they're two guys straight off the bat that we're going to have to replace. And you asked me how we got Rob Cornwall. Well, listen, I'm going to have to search high and wide. Maybe it's going to be internationally there that I try to replace them too, because the players that the top performers in terms of goals and assists statistically in USL League One. Have I been in contact with a couple of them? Yeah, but sure, they all, at the moment, it's a player's market. They want to play in the USL Championship. They want to see if their agent can get them something in the USL Championship. And at the moment, as it stands, it is a player's market. And it's going to be like that until sometime in the latter stages in December, early January, when players perhaps haven't got the move that they wanted to get and the free agents, and now it's a little bit more kind of a serious conversation in terms of, hey, listen, come and compete and play and score at a top USL League One team. So at the moment, it's difficult to replace them two players, and it's going to be maybe weeks, maybe a couple of months before you can find replacements for them too. And there's other players we're going to lose. Some of them by decision of myself and the rest of the that. Listen, we're looking for improvements in those positions. They've been great to us. We're trying to see if we can improve those positions. Did we lost you there for a second, did I?
I think so. You were saying you want to keep improving
hear me,
those
Nick?
positions. Yeah, I can hear
Yep.
you. Can you hear us?
I can. I think I lost you for like literally. I think I lost you for 20 seconds there, guys. So I'm not quite sure the kind of the end of that, what you picked up. But
I think we got you. I think you were saying you want to keep improving just these players' positions, and because you're
we want to
losing.
get we want to get stronger. Yeah, Nick, Riccardo, we want to get stronger. We are going to lose. Listen, we're going to lose a couple of players. Trevor and Arthur are two. We might lose one or two more players that I would love to retain. I'd love to retain. I'd love to keep. But if they're out of contract and it's not, listen, they if players, we're not going to lose any player that will go from us to another USL League One team that we want to keep. Because if they're going to play USL League One football, they want to play for Hailstorm, they want to play in Colorado, and they want to play for us. Of that, I've no doubt. If we do lose players, Arthur, Trevor, and if we lose a couple more, it's because they're going to a USL Championship team. They want to test themselves at a higher level, and I can't compete with that. It's nothing financial. They want to play at a USL Championship level, and nothing I can do. So we'll see what happens in the next couple of weeks with a couple of those players, because as I said, I am trying to keep. I have 10 of last year's squad. I am trying to keep 12 or 13 at least of last year's squad, and then build upon it and get players in that will strengthen us and make us stronger. But straight off the bat, Trevor and Arthur, we've obviously lost, and it's going to be difficult to replace them. But that's my job, and we'll see what we can do to replace them.
Well, Coach, I want to just, before you move on, Nick, I just want to go ahead and ask, you mentioned these people leaving. Is Irvin going to be a part of the plans for 2024, whether that be on or off the pitch?
Irvin's one I can say for sure. Irvin's on a contract, so Irvin had signed a 2-year deal, obviously at the end of 2022. We could go on and make a whole podcast about Irvin and the year that he's had and what he's come through, and the character that he's shown this year has been unbelievable. Obviously it was a fitting end to the season. Scoring the last regular season goal in the USL League One I just thought it was a perfect ending to that game and the season, and it was deserved as well from just the work that he put in to get back. So I believe, yeah. Look, Irvin will be back. Irvin's his big thing was what he lost when he was going through his treatment was was obviously the physical side of his game, and that's a part of Irvin's game. I feel like mentally he got stronger. The motivation and the hunger is even more now than it was at the start of the season to kind of get back and play and score goals. The last month of the season and definitely the last couple of weeks of the season, he looked more like himself. He looked physically much better in training, you know, and I have no doubt, I've been talking to Irvin over the last few weeks since the season ended. I have no doubt that you are going to get a really, really motivated, hungry Irvin back next year. And he hasn't lost his touch, hasn't lost his ability. What he lost was the physical side of things, which that you can always get back. And he's already getting that back. So Irvin will be back for us next year. And I do see Irvin as a massive part in our squad, not just our squad, our team next year. And I think he will. I've said it to him already. Listen, you know, Trevor obviously scored X amount of goals last year, 24, 27, including the playoffs. You know, that's a massive target, but that has to be the target. You know, to try and hit. And listen, if he can get 15 goals, happy days. You know, but at least double digits. Irvin of some of his ability, he needs to be getting.
All right. So with our position at Linners and Wosers, we get hit up by so many players around Colorado. Just what is tryouts the best way to go, or is there another avenue through agency or an interest form to somehow reach highlights to you? Because I know you don't want to get free, like so many highlights where you're just watching nonsense the whole time. But like, what's the best way for like a Colorado baller to somehow get noticed by Hailstorm, for example?
Look. First and foremost, the tryouts. The tryouts are coming up December 2nd and 3rd. You know, some clubs I feel like some clubs might use it as a marketing tool. You know, which perhaps it is at times, but tryouts are something that I take serious. We try to run it in a structured, professional manner. And as I said, look, you only have to look. I did sign, obviously, Destin in 2021 from the tryouts. I signed Donald Banana from the 2020 trial this season. But I also, I had players that performed well in the trials. I had them up for pre-season, so to have a further look at them. So tryouts first, the best way. Tryouts, and if you perform well, tryouts, even for the contract straight away, I'll definitely bring you up for in the environment with players. And that's definitely the best way then to try and to have a look at you. If for whatever reason you don't make the tryouts, well then look, highlights. I get.
Oof. He was fighting it.
He was fighting it.
Well, let's see here.
I think
Hello?
I lost you. Yeah, I lost you for a
There
second.
we go.
So wait, I think what we got is first tryouts is the best way to go. If you perform, you can
100%.
make practice squad or trial squad, whatever
Yeah,
that may
100%.
be.
Yeah, 100%. Tryouts is the best way as of now, and that obviously, you know, I'll get my eyes on you in the start of December, because we do bring up a lot of players in pre-season to have a look. I think last year we might have had, maybe we had 10 to 15 throughout pre-season players come in and kind of test themselves, and we've definitely signed one or two from pre-season as well. So if you can't make tryouts, well then look, are you good enough, or do I feel that you're good enough to come up for a week or so in pre-season? And the only way I can judge that is obviously through video, through your previous background, through coaches or agents kind of backing you up, and kind of giving you good references. So it's going to be either or. We get hit up a lot, and some of the video that you get, the highlights video is not great. Like I had a video sent to me earlier in the week, and it's and maybe it's the only video they can get, but it's literally the guy has put out some cones in his back garden, and he's going through some drills in his back garden. Like I can't, we're at a level now where I can't take that serious. I just can't. So listen, come to the tryouts. If not, as I said, the videos through agencies or through, I'll have a lot of college coaches hitting me up. I had a college coach from CSU Pueblo hit me up about 2 players today. And I'm hoping to get 2 of them up for the tryouts. And if they perform well in the tryouts, I'll absolutely invite them into pre-season to get another look at them,
You said Pueblo. Yeah, I think right now they're ranked 4th in the Division II NCAA tournament, actually going into the playoffs. So hopefully they got some good talent.
No, they do. Listen, absolutely they do. Absolutely they do. So, he's recommended 2 players. He's recommended a potential replacement for Trevor, a man, which I'm not sure about that, but we'll see. We'll see. And he's also another player as well. So, listen, there's some really top colleges around Colorado as well, and some top players around Colorado. So, I want to get my eyes on them. I really do.
Of course. I was also curious if you ever had a chance to look at my friend Jorgen's highlights I sent you.
You're calling me on the spot now. I have not had a look at your friend Jorgen's. Now, I'll say this though. I'll say this on the podcast. I actually said it earlier. Or was it yesterday when we were talking about Trevor? You guys obviously listen. You guys were one of the main contributors in terms of kind of backing up Trevor as a player. And I had a couple of people tell me about Trevor, and you guys were a couple of the people that told me about him as well. So listen, if Jorgens is as good as Trevor, or even if he's half as good as Trevor, we'll absolutely take a look at him.
I do have one. I have an 18-year-old local kid too as well. He's trying it out in England right now, but he's also curious. But unfortunately, he gets back on like the 18th of December or something, odd time.
Yeah. Well, as I said, look, if we feel that we can bring them into preseason for a look, we'll always do that. We always do that.
Look, Coach, I just got 2 quick personal questions, just a little bit, something fun, just to take our eyes a little bit off the topic of Hailstorm here. But big name coming into USL League One, U.S. national team star Jermaine Jones over at CV Fuego. What does a name like that coming into the league just mean to a club like Fuego? Is there a little bit of intimidation there? How excited is it? Do you think some more are going to follow suit? Some other coaches, players?
Well, listen, 100%. USL League One is, as I said, it's a great league for. He's obviously for names like ex-players and ex-coaches. Obviously, he's coming in to try and I think it's his first kind of head coaching position. To try and get his name off the ground as a coach, and it's a fantastic league for that. Listen, I started here as well, and I got my opportunity here, and I'm loving it, and I'm growing as well as a coach. So, fantastic for the league that they can bring in somebody of I guess his name and his past.
He's played for the Colorado Rapids, so him making the appearances in Windsor is going to bring some ex-Rapids fans to come watch the game. So there might be, more than just a derby on the line, more than just fire and ice. So,
and I'm all for it. Yeah,
we look really good in these derbies. We look really good in these derbies. So
listen, I'm all for it. I'm all for the challenge, the competition. Listen, I hope he does really well. Fuego is a club that I don't know the inside of Fuego, but just as an outsider looking in, it seems like they need a little bit of stability there. It's been a kind of a rocky couple of years. That's how it's looked anyway. Obviously, they changed the coach, 2-3 times this year. So hopefully he comes in and the club, I'm sure they back him. Again, he's such a big name that I'm sure they will back him wholeheartedly with recruitment and anything else he needs. And just his experience alone, I'm sure he's going to come in and demand straight away. He'll get the respect of players that he brings in, because players want to achieve what he's achieved, and they're going to look up to him as a player, and they're going to listen to him. So straight off the bat, he's going to have that, which some coaches might not have. So No, I wish him the best. I hope he can. I hope he can come in and smash it. Not too much, obviously, because we'll be competing against them, and not when they play against us.
Especially.
But but listen, I hope he comes in and does well. And as I said, I think that's a club that needs. I keep using starting our podcast. I said the word consistency. That's what they need. They need somebody consistent that will kind of help grow that club on and off the pitch. And I'm sure with his experience, he can do that. So I'm really excited and interested to see what players he brings in, and then when he does bring on in those players, how they, how they line out and how they set up. And interesting to see. Darren Pell came into Lexington, that got announced recently as well. He's another coach with a good background as well. So interesting to see what he does at Lexington. Spokane obviously are going to have to. I don't know who they're. I've heard a couple of rumors, but it'll be interesting to see who they bring in as a coach as well. So, no, it's from 2019, and I'll be quick here, but 2019 USL League One when it first was set up. I was involved, obviously, which had Chattanooga Red Wolves, and unfortunately, I was involved with them at the start, and it was a young league, a really, really young league, because you had the likes of New England Revolution and Orlando too, in the league, and it was a really young league. This year, the average age has gone up. I think the average age is 26 point something. The youngest team was North Carolina with an average age of 24.8, I think it was, because I looked at the statistics. We got them sent to us from the USL, but it's a 26 point something average age, and you have players that are coming to USL League One, because they respect the league. I mean, Steven Asantes came from Tampa Bay and did really well for Omaha this year, and there's other players that have come in and done well, with that are a little bit older and have a higher reputation in terms of the levels that they played. So I think this league is it's getting stronger and stronger every year from my experience. And I've been with it from the start to now, and I feel like next year is going to be even more competitive, and it's going to grow even more, not just with coaches, but not just with players, but coaches as well.
Wow. 100%. The USL League One's growing. It's getting more competitive. I mean, look at the top 3 teams this year alone. How competitive of a season it was. But I just want to go ahead and slide into my next topic here. Can you get us a little bit excited? You don't have to share too much, I know, but coming up to Future Legends Complex to Windsor, Colorado is the NOCO Rain, and I got this nice scarf that we got over at the playoff match against Madison. But a women's soccer team coming to Windsor, Colorado. How exciting is that? Again, can you share a little bit of that just to get us excited?
Yeah, look, for me, it's really exciting. It's always been in the plans. Even before I got this job, when I had an interview with Jeff Katowski, he had talked about a women's team. It was always in the plans to bring a women's team to Northern Colorado. So obviously now it's coming to fruition. We announced obviously the NOCO Rain coming into the W League, USL W League, which is a really competitive, strong league. I like it a lot. I watched them in the 11th women's team. They obviously had a really good fan base, and they won the championship this year. So it was good kind of watching them as well, and just their fan base as well, and it seemed to be a good atmosphere at those games. So hopefully we can replicate that and create a fan base for the NOCO Rain, and have a really competitive team. The owner Jeff Katowski, and obviously Casey Katowski as well, who has a massive say in the team as well. They don't want to just again put kind of any team together. They want to put a team that can compete and hopefully win a championship for the women's team. So it's going to be exciting to see that grow as well. We looked at what league to go into, and hopefully they don't mind me saying this. I still have aspirations that if the W League team can come up and if we can do well, which I feel like we can. I feel like the community will hopefully back us and come out and support us. I still have hopes of bringing the first professional women's team to Northern Colorado. I know for Denver had announced a professional team potentially coming in 2026. I think they had said as a potential start date, and they need a stadium, potentially the Rapid Stadium. I'm not quite sure. You know, we have a stadium, or we will have a stadium. We obviously have a smaller stadium, but we will have our main stadium will be there before 2026. 2024. I imagine is when we will be playing there. So I still have aspirations and hopes to hopefully have a professional, whether that's a USL Super League team, whether that's another professional league. But I do have hopes and aspirations to have a professional women's team, the first in the state of Colorado, up in Northern Colorado, in future legends. I know it's something that Jeff is looking at and Casey's looking at. For now, USLW League 2024, really, really excited to have that. And if we can grow that and that can be successful and people come out and support that and we can give them a good product, a good facility to come and support, yeah, why not? Why not have the first professional women's team ever in the state of Colorado?
Well, I love what Casey's doing and his vision and the whole organization's vision. Honestly, we only get to speak with Casey when we go ahead and go to the matches. We catch up for a few moments, share some thoughts in there. But I mean, I'll speak for both Nick and I. We're really excited for everything that's coming out of FLC, out of Windsor, for both Hailstorm, Rain, maybe even in the future an academy team. As it continues to grow for the community, the Owls are coming in.
We will. I don't know actually if there's been much out there on that. Actually, don't know if there has.
I think there was one announcement.
We will have an academy next year. 100%. We will have an academy next year. There'll be more details, obviously, in the hopefully short future announced on that. But we will 100% have an academy next year. It's something that, again, my main focus, obviously, I was tasked with obviously the USL League One team, and that's my main focus. But as head coach and technical director, it was to build a soccer empire up in Northern Colorado, not just the USL League One team, a women's team as well, and be a part of that, and also an academy. And the academy for me is the future up here, and we want to build a top of the range academy up in Northern Colorado, and we will start that next year in 2024, 100%. We've already had discussions with a few youth clubs, how we could partner, how we could come together, and some of those discussions are in advanced discussions right now with a couple of them. So we will have an academy next year. Again, that'll be the first year, but we'll grow that USL Academy team, an elite side of it, and a rec side of it as well, to give everybody opportunity to play in the complex. That's you, is it?
Awesome.
That would be me. But we know it's really exciting after having a fantastic first year, having you join us 2 times, a historic second year, and you joining us here after the season has been wrapped up. You shared with us so many different thoughts about the season, some scoops about the club, some of the players. We don't want to get you too much in trouble. We don't have the best legal team, if any, but there's a lot of exciting plans. If you're a Hailstorm fan or upcoming Storm Chaser, the vision of the club, the success, 2024 is going to go ahead and be just as exciting, if not more exciting than 2023. Just knowing that good things are coming and that plans have already underway. We are so thankful for us for joining us. Nick and I have had an exciting season following along the club. Congratulations on your 2 Coach of the Month award in May and September, if I'm not mistaken. Fully deserved, especially the month of May. It was just phenomenal performance from the whole team. But again, we just want to go ahead and thank you so much for coming back on the Linners and Wosers podcast, the only coach with 100% winning record over at Winder Field in Colorado Springs. So hopefully we can go ahead and continue that streak. Again, thank you so much, Coach. And let's get a hell yeah for the video.
Yeah, hell yeah. No, lads, I appreciate this. And I appreciate coming on. You guys have been great supporters, obviously, of Hailstorm, and hopefully that can continue, and we'll grow together. It's not a cliche. We're all in this together. You were with us from the start. I was with us from the start. We're trying to grow this together on and off the pitch. And listen, this year I think we went up 2 levels this year in terms of everything we did on and off the pitch. The idea is that we can grow another level next year. We want to keep growing, keep getting better. It's a challenge. It'll be a challenge to get better. We had some really exciting moments this year. Really exciting moments. Obviously, culminating in the first ever home playoff game. Which ended up being obviously a fantastic, just all around game for us, and atmosphere, and I want to expand on that. I want to have more great moments next year. And hopefully, I know you guys will be there supporting us, and again, we grow together. That's it. We grow together.
Yeah, well, I mean, we love it. We love it. We love making the drive down. We love supporting the team. Any local close games, we'll be there. And again, thank you so much for joining us here. My name is Riccardo. I'm with Nick. We're both at Linners Wosers covering our favorite USL League One team, Northern Colorado Hailstorm FC. Thank you so much, Head Coach Eamon Zayed.
Guys, it's been a pleasure. I'll talk to you soon.
Have a good one.
Cheers. Bye. Bye.